Hey everybody, it's Mitch and welcome to my next video. Today is Friday, which means it's time for another Dungeons & Dragons video. And today I thought I'd talk to you guys about how to roll for loot in Dungeons & Dragons. This is more for Dungeon Masters, but you know, I figure at least like 20% of players are Dungeon Masters, if not more, considering people switch who the DM is a lot. So anyways, first thing you want to do is figure out what the CR of the encounter is. That's fairly easy to do. I probably don't have time to go over that too much in this video. I might do that in another video though. But if you already know what the CR is, if you figured out how to do that, that's awesome. Step 1 complete. Then you're going to come over to page 52 and 53 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. This is at least the standard way to do it. So you got all these numbers and stats and everything. So you come down and you find the level that it is. Simple enough. First thing you do is you're going to roll a percentage dice. So the percentage dice. You know the percentage ones. The two dice, the one with the zeros at the end. Basically, they're two different D10s. You roll those. One has a 0, one doesn't, and you figure out what number it hits. Simple. Awesome. Then you go over and you figure, okay, how many coins does that amount to? And you look and you go, oh, that amounts to however many coins. You roll the dice to see what it says, and you give the player that many coins. Well, you give the group that many coins, because this is for groups, not for individual players. Unless they're soloing, then I guess it's both. Then you roll the percent die again. This time you're doing it for goods. This is for gems and art. And it'll tell you so many gems or so many art, or probably nothing, especially early on. So then, say you got, then I would write that down. How many gems and how many art, because then you're going to have to roll for items. You might have to do multiple rolls, depending on how the encounter looks. Maybe it's, it depends on how you want to do it. Like, you could say, hey, there's a bunch of CR1s, so I'm going to say, okay, I'll do that many CR1s. Or you could say, you know what, that amounts to a higher CR, let's do that way. So there's different ways you can do it. Personally, I think it makes more sense to do it by the individual monster CP. It takes more time to do it that way for sure, but I just find it works a little. It makes more sense in terms of what you're getting. Although I suppose a big group of weak monsters could collectively own some big bad treasure. So maybe. Really just depends. Honestly, I like to mix it up. It makes for more interesting. So yeah, however you want to do it. There's another way to do this. I'll talk about that in another video. But for now, we're just going to go over this method. So then you're going to roll the percent die a third time. And this time it's for magic item. Well, for items, which oftentimes are magic. And it'll tell you how many mundane, how many minor, major, medium, and then write that down. So then, if they got any gems or art, you're going to want to come over onto page 55, and you're going to check out that table and chart on gems and art. So whether it's gems or art, you're just going to roll for that. Pretty self-explanatory. And it tells you the value, which is how much they can roll for. It also tells you the average amount that those pieces will go for. So you just roll, and then you just pick something off the list, because they got a big list, and there's really no way to roll on that. I guess if you want, you could say, oh, there's this many items, and then find a way to roll and make it work. Like if there's 8, roll a d8. If there's 9, roll a d10, and re-roll 10s or something. That's how I like to do stuff like that. Do the same for art. Then once you're done with that, if they got any mundane items, you come over to page 56, and you're gonna roll. That, and you'll have to roll multiple times. So the first roll will be on that first little column, because it's got the it'll tell you whether it's an alchemical item, armor, weapon, or tools and gear. Then from there, you roll again. If it's an alchemical item, you're done. If it's tools or gear, you're done after that second roll. Same with weapons. But if it's armor, and you happen to roll for darkwood or masterwork, then you got to roll a second time. So for darkwood, you'll have to roll whether it's a buckler or shield. For masterwork, you have to roll what kind of masterwork it is. So you got a few things you got to roll for then. Now comes for the fun part. If you happen to roll any minor, medium, or major wondrous items, then you have to jump all the way to page 222 of the DMG, right there, and that will tell you, oh shoot, not 222, I skipped a little bit. That is my bad. I have that. So to 216 of the DMG. 222 is one you very well might be hitting later though. So you go to 216 and there's a little chart and it'll tell you minor, medium, and major. So you figure out, okay, is it a minor, a medium, or a major? You should know that because that's what you roll. That's why you're coming here. And you just roll on that column and it'll tell you. And then you just look over to the side and see what it says. Then you're going to have to go to one of the various tables that it says. Like if it's armor, for instance, you come over to the armor table, still on page 216. So you don't even have to change page if it's armor. Bam, it's right there on the same page. And basically you'll just roll on the minor, medium, or major, depending on which one you have again, and it'll tell you, okay, it's whatever it is. Now if it tells you, hey, it's so like it says it's a +2 armor, so it's like, awesome, you got a +2 armor, then it's just a +2 armor. But sometimes you'll get specific armor or specific shield, and then you'll also get special ability roll again. So you get special ability roll again, you say, oh, it's got a special ability, and now I'm going to roll again. So first let's go over the first thing you're going to do once you figured out how many special abilities it has and what the plus of it is, or if it's an armor or shield. Then you're going to come over to either the random armor type or the random shield type, depending on whether you got an armor or shield, and roll on that. So now you know what kind of armor it is, or what kind of shield it is. Then, if you got specific armor or shield, actually you don't do it if you got one of those. That's different. But then if it's got a special if it's just a plus whatever, then you're done. But if it's got a special ability, you come over to the special ability one. Like if you rolled the special ability roll again, then you would come over to that. Still look on the minor, medium, or major. This is now on page 217. You don't got to change the page though, because you can look at them both simultaneously, and it'll tell you which ability to put on, and that's all you got to do. So you just pop her on there, say that's what it is, and that's what it is. If it's got multiple, you roll multiple times. Simple as that. And if you happen to roll a 100, it tells you roll again twice. So basically you get an extra bonus special ability. So that's pretty cool. That's always an option. Then if you happen to get so you got that's for armor. Now if you got shields, it's basically the same thing, but it's on page 218 here. So you got to flip the page then, because armor and shields are different. Now if you happen to get specific armor or shields, specific armors is table 7-7 on page 220, the one I flubbed on earlier, and oh no, that's not. And specific shields is on page 221. So you just roll on that, and that's what it is. It's really simple. You don't have to do any other work. So once you found out that it's a specific armor or shield, you just call it that. Call it good. If you happen to have rolled special ability and then this, honestly, I'd get rid of the special ability. It's probably just going to be this. Or maybe you could say, no, it's this, plus it's got an extra special ability on it. I mean, I guess that's workable. Honestly, yeah, that could be done. So I would put the special ability on it personally. Now, if it's a weapon, it's going to be very, very similar, except for so if you on that first table for minor, medium, or wondrous, you got a weapon. You come over to this table, bam, 222. This is the one I flubbed on. All right, and then it'll tell you it's basically the same principle. You roll minor, medium, or major, and it'll tell you whether it's +1, +2, plus whatever. And then it'll tell you if it's got a specific weapon. In which case, if it's a specific weapon, you just roll that on the table. I'll get you that in a sec. Or special ability, roll again. So you say, hey, it's got a special ability, make a note of that, and then roll again, and keep going until you don't get that. With major, you could be going a while since it's a pretty big range on special abilities. So they could end up with a number of them. Then, of course, you come and the next thing you're going to do is with weapons. It's an interesting one. You have to roll on table 7-10 on the same page, and it'll tell you whether you get a common melee weapon, an uncommon melee weapon, or a common ranged weapon. So you just roll on that, and then that'll tell you which table to go to. If it's the common melee weapon, you roll on 7 and 11, and then it'll just tell you which one you do that on. If you got an uncommon, it's on 7 and 12, and if it's ranged, it's on 7-13. Not too likely you'll get an uncommon. Ranged isn't that particularly common either. You just kind of roll and see what you get, and call that good for that part. If it's got a special ability, then of course you either roll on the melee or the range special ability. Uncommon doesn't change things, so you just sort of roll, see what you get. Again, there's an option of roll again twice, which is actually a higher amount for weapons than it is. So there's a chance you could get like a ridiculous number of special abilities, which would be awesome. Then, of course, if you happen to get Bane as a special ability, you have to roll again on the Bane chart. Then, of course, if you landed specific weapon, you would roll on table 716 on page 227, and that will tell you which specific weapon you just roll there once, and that'll tell you what to do. So then you got, if you happen to roll for potions or oil, this one is actually much more simple. You just look whether it's a minor, major, or a minor, medium, or major, and roll and see what it tells you, and that's all it is. That's on page 230. I've actually got all these pages marked in my DMG. I would recommend putting bookmarks in all of these pages I'm listing as well. So yeah. And then also for if they got a ring, same thing. This is on page 231. You just roll on the appropriate column, and it'll tell you what they got. Real simple. Not that particularly common items to get. Now for a rod, these won't come up for minor, but they will come up for medium and major. And again, you just roll. That's on page 234, right there. Watching. So you just roll on that little table there, and it'll tell you. You just kind of go with whatever it says. Real simple. Now for wondrous items. No, not for wondrous, sorry. For scrolls. Scrolls are a tricky one. Scrolls are probably the most pain in the butt ones to deal with. So first thing you want to do if you get a scroll, you're going to roll on table 7-20 on page 238. That's the one at the top there. And it'll just tell you whether it's arcane or divine. Then you roll on 721. This one, it actually matters, minor, medium, or major. And it'll just tell you how many spells is on there. Now, depending on how many spells, there's different ways you can do it. You can either, personally, I say, hey, you're going to roll multiple times. Some people say, at this point, they'll just roll once on 722. And they'll say, okay, I'm going to roll once on 722 and see what level it is. That's really all there is to that. Yeah, so you just roll on 722, or you can roll once for each one to give it a little bit more variety. But if you roll on just once and you say it's a second level scroll, third level scroll, then it'll just contain spells of that level. Or you could say, hey, it's got a mixture of different levels of spells by rolling multiple times. I usually roll multiple times. Then, once you've done that, you're going to come over to table 7-23, which runs from 723 or 724, depending on whether you got arcane or divine. And they run from page 239 to 243. So you got that whole thing, this whole page, that whole page, back. You got like all that. So basically, you just go to the appropriate table, whether it's arcane or divine. Generally, it's only going to have either arcane or divine on the scroll, and you just roll up the spells based off of the levels you got, and that's all there is to it. So you say, hey, I got a second level spell. You find second level arcane spells, roll, write it down, and you got to do that however many once for like. So if there's 5 spells, you got to do that 5 times. Then for staffs, you can re-roll duplicates if you want. Staffs, again, there's no minor staffs. They're all major or medium. So you just roll on page 243, right there in the bottom. It's right underneath the divine spells. Real simple. You just roll it, see what you get. Wands, again, very simple, except these ones can be minor. These ones actually have another step to them. I think staffs might too, actually. Yeah, staffs do as well. So staffs, you're also going to have to figure out how many charges are on that staff. So what you want to do is, once you figure out what staff it is, you're just, what I like to do is I just roll a percent die and then divide by 2 and round up. So, and that tells you how many charges are on it. Because it's, it's random loot, it's probably been used. Wands, you're going to do that same thing. So you roll on table 726 for wands, right there, bam. And so you just roll either on the minor, medium, or major, depending on which one it happens to be, and that'll tell you which wand you're going to get. And of course, you roll for charges, just like I said with the staffs. For wondrous items, now this one's where it gets a little more simple. For minor, you're going to roll on 727, table 7-27, which is on page 247. Let's see, for medium, you're going to roll on 728, which is on page 249. And for major, you're going to roll on page 251, which is, table 729, which is on page 251. So you just roll on the appropriate table, roll the dice once for each item, see what you get, and then it's good to look up what it is if you don't know, so that you can tell the group, hey, it's this. And you just kind of, then at this point you should have everything done. That should satisfy every single thing that's really being rolled. So you just do that, call it good, and yeah. So I know that's really complicated. There's a whole lot to rolling treasure. This is just one method. This is the way they tell you to do it in the DMG. If you guys got any questions, I know it's complicated. Most of this is overlap, but I mean it's a pretty long video just to explain how to roll for treasure. And I didn't even talk about how to figure out what the CR was. So definitely, if you have any questions, leave that below. I spent so many hours rolling for treasure for my group. It's ridiculous how long it can take. It's a very time-consuming process, especially once you reach higher levels. So leave some comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Anyways, also, if you enjoyed the video, please consider sharing it with your friends. Let them see it as well. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We do one of these videos every Friday. I also take requests for these videos. We also, if I start getting overloaded, subscribers will come first in terms of requests. Then on top of that, we also have additional Dungeons & Dragons videos every Friday. We have Dungeons & Dragons story every Thursday. We have videos about me every Wednesday, our character reviews every Saturday, and additional videos on Sunday. So definitely check all of that out. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you.